What's up YouTube, welcome to the video. So the topic is how can we perform Firebase authentication using email and password. So we will gonna sign up a user using Firebase auth, save its information to the database and then try to log in with that ID and then we will sign out. So let us begin. Now open the Firebase and go to project settings. And here I have my Firebase app. Choose CDN and before copying the code I will open the Firebase auth folder in my Visual Code and I will create three files: register html, login.html and home.html. I am going to close these files for now and come back to my browser and search Bootstrap 5. So we can use the latest version. In the introduction, we can copy this and make it as our starter template. Remove this, and this is our Firebase auth. And now we will copy the configuration from Firebase and put it down here. Remove these comments, and now with the help of Bootstrap, we don't have to waste huge time on designing the pages. We will just copy the floating label code from here. So just copy this, paste it in the body before the script, and let's change this to email input and this to password input. So now let's put these divs under a form, which is the right way to do it. And this form will have an ID of, let's say, main form, and I will copy this. This is gonna be text and we will be saving first and last name in the database, and we need two buttons. So a button with type submit, because it will get submitted to the form, and with a class of button and button primary. Create new user button, and the second button will be sign in. So sign in the user, and this button will be inside a link, and the link will point to the login.html. Let's also change the IDs to f name and l name. Now let's check this out. So it looks like this. To take care of this, I will put some classes on my main form. mb3. After each div, I can use float right. Will have margin and 2. Now I will copy this and paste it 2 times because I need some other functions. Get auth and create user with email and password. So I will be needing these two functions for the authentication. Now I need to initialize db with get database function and auth with get auth function, and this will take my app. Now I will get the references. So now we have all the references. Let's create our register user function, and let's create an arrow function with event, and here I have used the event to use this method which is prevent default. It will prevent any default behavior with the event. Because I am going to use the submit event, that's why I have to use this prevent default. Now the create user with email and password function, it will take auth, then the email input value and the password input dot value dot then, and inside this then promise I have to define an arrow function which will contain an argument, let's say credentials, and inside this promise we can define a function to insert the rest of the information into the Cloud Firestore database. But we will do it later. For now, let's put a catch statement, and inside that we also need an arrow function which will catch the error, and we can alert error dot message. So this is not necessary, but you can do it if you want. For now, let's only print the credentials to the console, and it's better if we have a heading over here. So an h2 heading, register user. Now come to the console, and inside this there is authentication. Get started and add new provider, email password. Check the first checkbox, save. So it is enabled. Now we will come inside users and let's try to register the user. Let me open the inspect first. So there is a problem. This should be Firebase auth. So that was a problem. We created this register user function, but we did not assign the event to the main form. So we also have to assign the event main form dot add event listener, and whenever the form submit, run the register user function. So now this should work. So amazing codeworks at youtube.com and Hassan Raza. Create new user, and we didn't put any pop-up, so here are my credentials. And if I refresh this, My email is now registered at Firebase Auth. So this works great. Now let's create the login page. So I will copy all of this. So paste it here. We will have no first name and last name here. So remove all of this and let's change this to sign in or logged in, whatever, same thing. This would be sign in user, and the create user will be changed into sign in with email and password, and this register user will become sign in user, and this sign in will take the same thing, the auth, the email and the password, and dot then would be the same and the catch would be the same. So this so everything inside here will remain the same for now. So if we successfully log in, the console will show the credential, otherwise it will show the error. And we have to change another thing, which is this will be sign up. So we are trying to go to the sign up page, and this will take us to register. This sign up and sign in is a little confusing. Let's make it login. Login user. The sign in button should be a clickable button, so it should not submit the form. So I must sign in. So I'm seeing the login user screen, and it's saying that the register user is not defined. So in the login screen we have the sign in user function. So refresh, and now the email and the password. Login. So we are seeing the user credential, which means that our username and password are okay. If I try to put the wrong email which is not registered and try to log in, it's saying invalid login credential. So now our Firebase auth is working great. Now let's get back to the register, and now we will save the data to the Cloud Firestore database. But for that I don't need these functions, I actually need the functions from Firestore. So get Firestore doc and set doc. So I need these functions from Firebase minus Firestore library, and this should be get Firestore. And now when I create a new user with email and password, I am gonna create a reference with the help of doc function, which takes db, and the second parameter is the name of the collection, so it would be user auth list, and the third credential would be the name of the document, so it would be credentials dot user dot uid. So this is an id of the user that is generated by the Firebase auth. So we will save the user's information with its id on Cloud Firestore database. and for that we also need this function to be async, because our Cloud Firestore function requires await set doc. It also requires the reference and the object that we want to set on the document. So first name fname input dot value and the last name. So these two properties will be saved to the document. In the login, we will also change the library here. So the get Firestore function and doc and get doc function from the Firestore library. So we don't need this, and this will become get Firestore, and we need the same reference constant doc snap, and this will require us to use await get doc and pass the reference. The function needs to be async, and if docsnap dot exist, then I will use the session storage. You can use the local storage if you want the user to be logged in even after the browser is closed. Set item, and we will save the user info by using json.stringify, and this will have first name docsnap data function dot first name and last name. So we are creating a session storage variable user info and passing it the information of first name and last name that we received from the Firestore document, and then we will create another session storage variable named user creds, and it will also use the json.stringify, and it will pass on the credentials to the session storage, and then window dot location dot href will change to home.html. So now let's move on to the home.html. So for the home page, I will again take the help from Bootstrap, and I will again get the starter template, and another thing is I need a nav bar, because the sign out button is usually within the nav bar. So I'm gonna paste the nav bar here, change this to home, and I don't need the search bar, and this would be sign out, and we will change the type to button, and I will define a script, and we will get the user credentials with json.parse, and from the session storage dot get item function we will get the user credentials, so user cred, and this would be user info, and we will get the user info. And this sign out button will have an ID of sign out button, and let me define two headers h2. One will have an ID message and the other will have the ID greet. So now let me get the references. The message head dot inner text and the last thing, which is the sign out function. So arrow function, and the sign out function is quite simple. We will just remove the items from the session storage. Then we will change the window dot location to login dot html, and we will do another thing, which is I will create another function check credentials. This will check that if session storage has the user credentials. So if it's not null or undefined, then this will become true. Move to the login page, and I will run this function on the page load. So window dot add event listener, and on load I will run this function. And another event that I want to assign is for the sign out button. Whenever the button is clicked, sign out function should run. And this user cred actually has an S at the end, and these two lines should be executed only if the session storage has some credentials. So in the else statement, these lines would be executed. Now we need a new user to test out the functionality. So let's just delete this old one and move on to the sign up page and create a new user with the same name, Hassan Raza. Create new user. So refresh this page, and we are seeing the amazing codeverse user. Now the Firestore database. We can see that there is a user auth list and the UID with the information of the user. Now let's try to log in with this user. So sign in, the email and the password. Click login, and you can see that it's saying user with email amazing codeverse at youtube.com logged in, and it's saying my name, and there is a sign out button. But before clicking this, I want to show you that if I write session storage, you can see that all of my information is here. If I press sign out, then all of the information should be wiped out. So you can see that there is no credentials. Now if I try to move on without my credential to the home page, it is redirecting me to the login page. So this is all for the video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel. See you next time.